Hi folks, it's James here. How you all doing? This is going to be a contest entry for Rachel the Music Man, and she's doing a subs contest. Can't remember how many subs it is this time, but thought I would jump in as it sounded good fun. Seen some good entries already. Rachel's been on the VC for a while now, making some great videos, great content, a lovely supportive, very warm person. Check her out if you haven't, and I'll put a link down below. So she's got this this contest where we have to talk about our birthdays and what our parents liked to listen to when we were growing up. And so yeah, I thought I would jump on that. So my birthday date is August the 7th. So I had a look. And I found a musician who was born on my birthday, August the 7th, and it is Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. So this is the album, The Number of the Beast. Must admit, I'm not not a big fan of Iron Maiden. I find their music technically impressive, and I do enjoy it sometimes in small doses, but I'm not a big fan of that kind of operatic style of, well, operatic rock vocals don't really float my boat, really. But yeah, there we go. I do share a birthday with Bruce. Okay, so Rachel also wants us to mention somebody who died on your birthday. There is a person, a great hero of mine, who died on August the 7th. Not a musician as such, but he could sing, and he did sing in his films, and it is Oliver Babe Hardy from Laurel and Hardy. Totally love Laurel and Hardy, always have. I grew up with their films, which were always on TV when I was growing up. It's absolutely tragic that kids nowadays don't get to see them on TV because for some reason they don't show them. The powers that be have decided that they're not worth showing. So, you know, I've got them on DVD and I do show them to my kids. And he could sing. He had a wonderful singing voice. I mean, they were just great all-rounders, weren't they? They could sing, they could dance. I mean, they were just fantastic. So, yeah, Oliver Hardy, rest in peace. Okay, so Rachel wants us to talk a little bit about our parents' music. Now, I'm going to do another video on this because I've been meaning to do it for a long time and I need to get on and do it. And it's all about my musical upbringing, because I was basically reared on classical music. My dad is a big classical music buff and he knows a lot about it. He's very knowledgeable. But I'll leave that for a separate video because it's quite a big, heavy topic area, really. Instead, I'll talk about the music, the kind of pop music that we enjoyed as a family. My dad is not really into pop music. There's certain things that he likes, there's certain things that he'll tolerate, and there's certain things that he does genuinely enjoy. He's quite an open-minded person, but he doesn't like things with repetitive beats or rhythms. He hates jazz, actually. Jazz is the one area where he won't go at all. You know, but as long as a pop tune has got a good melody and some good lyrics and a tune is what he likes, he will happily listen to it. And my mum always loved pop music. Well, not love, but she liked pop music. She enjoyed it. You know, she was a primary school teacher, so she was in touch with what her kids were listening to at school, and you know, she had a passing awareness of the pop hits of the day. So she would, I mean, she never bought any records or anything like that, but I would buy things, and she would sort of make my dad listen to them. You know, we would sit and listen to music together. So that's quite nice. My dad used to buy records from my mum. He bought her this one, which I acquired. This is Bridge Over Troubled Water. And I think he bought her this the year it came out in 1970, and this is a record that we did used to sit and listen to together as a family. You know, we would sit in the living room, and because my dad's a big hi-fi buff, so we would always sit and listen to music. It would never be on in the background. It was almost like a sort of home concert program. You know, we would sit there, we'd listen to his classical music, you know, his symphonies and his concertos, but then we'd have a bit of Simon and Garfunkel. Okay, so the other record that he'd given her was this one. This is 10cc, the original soundtrack. And again, this would have been when it first came out. I think it came out in 1974 or 5. And that was basically when my mother was doing her teacher training. So I just get the camera. straight. She did a teacher training qualification with the Open University in about 1975 when I was 4 years old, and she used to listen to that record a lot when she was, not when she was working, but she would listen to it in the evenings after she'd knocked off. Both my parents loved the song I'm Not in Love, and that's one of the earliest musical memories I have in terms of pop music. Revolver as well by the Beatles. My dad had given that to my mum as a gift back in about, I think it was about 1970, so that was another big important record that I heard growing up. My dad actually, he did enjoy Paul McCartney. He loved Mull of Kintyre when that came out in 1977. He thought that was a really, really good record, and we used to listen to that together. And the track he loved on this was Let Him In. Because he's a pianist and he likes classical piano. I think he always admired McCartney's his touch and his way with the melody, and the way he could just be endlessly resourceful. Just writing a song as simple but as effective as Let 'Em In, and it's very piano led. But we would always sit and listen to Paul McCartney's hits, as a family. That always kind of slipped down nicely. Band on the Run again, we used to listen to that. This one, probably more my mum's cup of tea. Grease. When the two hits from this came out, would have been probably 1978. I think my mum made my dad buy the 45 of You're the One That I Want. I know he used to play that on his record player. And I bought the single of the other one, Summer Nights, and my parents both enjoyed that too. They both liked those two songs. Oh, my dad had this really strange thing, because he didn't like jazz music, he didn't like blues music, he certainly didn't like soul music or anything like that. But he fell totally head over heels for for this Rose Royce. He absolutely loved what's it called? Love Don't Live Here Anymore. And he bought the 45 of that, and he used to play it to his friends. He used to play it to friends of his who were classical music buffs like him. I think he'd play it for them just to sort of test the waters, and they were always totally baffled. They couldn't understand it, and my mum couldn't understand it either, and I certainly couldn't understand it, because it was nothing like anything that he liked. It was totally different, but there was something about it which he loved. He genuinely loved it, and what's ironic is I couldn't stand it. I like it now, but back in those days I used to find her vocal rather alarming, I think. It was not a record that I liked, but he'd cue it up, and I'd have to sit there and listen to it, and it's quite ironic looking back. This one pop record that he really, really loved, and he was me. I was obsessed with pop music, and yet that one I didn't like it. So work that one out if you can. Okay, so he also enjoyed ELO, and I actually bought him Discovery for his birthday in 1978. I can still remember the supermarket that we bought it from, and I think it was Wild West Hero came out in 1977. He enjoyed that. Again, it's got a honky-tonk piano in it. My dad was a sucker for anything involving the piano. He enjoyed ELO particularly because of the orchestral flourishes. I suppose they were a group. They sort of intersected his taste and my taste, because I was into pop and rock music, he was into classical music, and there was this pop group who used classical influences, or cod classical influences. So ELO was a group that we used to always enjoy together. When the Buggles came out with Video Killed the Radio Star, this would have been in 1979, 1980, he loved that. Again, I think it was because of the Jeff Downes thing, the classical thing. Jeff Downes is a classical musician. He knows classical chord voicings on the piano. His stuff is very lyrical, it's very smooth, it's very orchestral, and this album has got a real orchestral thing going on. It's very, very articulate, it's very lyrical, beautifully played, wonderfully structured, and he fell for this quite a lot. He's still got a copy of it to this day in his collection at home, and he will still dig it out and play it. He and my mum will sit there and listen to it, and they enjoy it. I think nowadays it's mainly for the nostalgic reasons, really. My dad is probably more into classical music now at this stage in his life. He's nearly 80. He's more into it now than ever before. He's just diving ever deeper into these concertos and symphonies, which he's been listening to since he was a young man. He just finds endless musical nourishment in those pieces, but what he and my mum will do, they'll end the musical evening with what my dad calls a lollipop, and he'll put something on. He'll play a Paul McCartney song, or a Buggles song, or an ELO song, Hot chocolate is one that my mum really likes. You know, she likes You Sexy Thing, and it started with a kiss. My mum is a fairly typical, you know, sort of a lady who was not that into music, but she liked whistleable pop tunes, you know, so she liked she liked Hot Chocolate and stuff. And my dad will happily play those, you know, around the house for my mum to, you know, dance to and have a little boogie to. It's quite nice, really. One thing is that my mum is not into music really, but she's always really supported my dad with his music. So she'll sit and listen to music with him, even if he plays a long concerto or a symphony. She won't sit there with him for everything. You know, I mean, she won't listen to Beethoven piano sonatas, that kind of thing, that kind of deep, high classical stuff. You know, Brahms symphony. She won't do that, but she will listen to things like Vaughan Williams with him, and she listens to Grieg and William Walton, and you know the more and Elgar. You know, the more popular composers. It's really, really nice. You know, it's quite sweet, really. And we'll finish with this one. This is a record that me and my dad listened to a lot when I was in my teens. I think it was recommended by a friend of my dad's. My dad had a couple of friends who he worked with who were very, very into prog rock, I think it was. And they would recommend things to him, and he would buy records on their recommendation. Most of them he didn't like, and he would pass them on to me. You know, there was Genesis Trespass he didn't like that one. Led Zepp 4, he didn't like that. So, but there were some that he genuinely loved. And this one, again, I guess, you know, for the same reasons as ELO. It's quite classical, it's quite symphonic. It demonstrates Mike Oldfield's amazing mastery of all these instruments, and you know, the overdubbing and just the intricacy of it. I think he was very taken with that, and I've got great fond memories of listening to that with him in my teens. So that's it, I think. Yeah. Oh, just one more question. Rachel wants us to give a shout out. So I've just done a video with some shout outs in it. So I'll give a shout out to a channel, and I've only watched one of his videos so far. And the channel name is Scott Spinner 1. I think the guy's name might be George though. He did a response to one of my videos, so I went back and watched one of his, and I discovered him. But I've literally only watched the one video. I think he's a Scottish gentleman, and he's doing some really good. I've seen from the thumbnails, he's doing some really good stuff. He's showing his collection, you know, as we all do. He seems to be doing some theme videos as well, and the one video that I've watched so far is really nice. So I need to catch up with some more of his videos. So that's yeah, Scott Spinner 1. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Rachel, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on and ramble all about that kind of stuff. I'm an incredibly nostalgic person. It's like a disease, really. I should get with the present more, I think. Anyway, so I'll see you all soon. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.